Hey everybody, I hope you are doing well. I am Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. I am glad to have you here. Thanks for joining me again. If you're a subscriber, I certainly appreciate you, and I hope you know that my members, it goes deep. Thank you so much. And if you're new to the channel, if you just landed here, I hope you like what you see. Stick around and hit that like and subscribe button. I am, if you're not familiar with me, I am a certified tarot reader. Been doing it for decades. And I'm also a former newspaper journalist, so that, I try to approach my readings kind of, ground it and keep it down to earth, but also go to spirit and see what added insight we can get on different topics. I do mostly political readings. At least 3 times a week I try to check in with you all, but twice a month I do, for the new moon and the full moon, I do more spiritual readings, and they're pick a card readings, they're called. So you might want to check that out in my list. Go see what I've done before, and maybe you'll like it and stick around. I certainly hope so. I appreciate, again, I noticed that I've been getting some new subscribers. Cannot thank you enough. It inspires me to continue to get on here and give you the best content that I possibly can. Certainly don't have a lack of topics and reasons to do it, right? That said, a couple of things I want us to look at today, or spirit, I should say. I sit for about 30 minutes before I start taping, you all, just so you know, and I get clear with spirit about what direction to go in, so that it's not about Afefe. It's more about what I feel, or what my guides are saying is more beneficial to you, and what can help you. All right. Couple of things. We saw that horrible debacle that happened in the Oval Office on Friday. And interestingly, I had to jump on here and do a short for you all on Friday. I don't normally do short videos, but I had taped something really early. I tend to tape early in the mornings. I had taped a political reading early Friday morning. Well, of course, Zelensky in the Oval Office and everything that happens later in the day. So by the time my video went live, you all were coming at me like, Afefe, why are you talking about X, Y, and Z when this is happening in front of us right now? And I didn't know about it. I hadn't been on social media or watched TV. So I was like, what? Wait, what? So thank you for alerting me. It was quite something. Really, really backfired, right? Really backfired. Clearly it was an ambush. Clearly it was planned. You had Russian media in the room, in the Oval. Woo! Okay. So we're not dumb. We could see that for what it was. Zelensky was definitely set up. However, and set up why? To make him look weak in front of the Ukrainians, to perhaps make him look weak to the European Union, etc. Did not happen. Exactly the opposite. And not only that, but many in America said, no, this man is the hero, while, JD and F-47 absolutely made a fool of themselves and embarrassed the country to a great degree. So I want to look at, in the aftermath of that, you all, we know that on Tuesday, March 4th, F-47 is going to give his first, of this administration, his first joint address to Congress. And once again, we have our Democratic leaders chasing their tails, trying to decide how they want to respond. We have one contingent, more progressive leaders like Crockett, Maxwell Frost out of Florida, and some others, who are saying, we really either just shouldn't show up at all, or perhaps stage a walkout. Like, get up in force and walk out while this man is talking, okay? So there's that more, resist and show the resistance in a more protesting format. And then we got the concessioners, the concessionaires, let's call them. So disappointed in Hakeem Jeffries. And I know some of you might give me some flack about that. There are loyalists around him no matter what. But I am sorry, you all. That man is not... He is not meeting the moment, and all of this gesturing and these speeches and gesturing with the hand, like, that's not getting anything done. He, on the other hand, has come up with this brilliant idea, Jeffries, to, why don't we just flood the room, bring every congressman, bring people, bring federal workers, bring people who have been fired, bring people who, are living this horror. first of all, why would they even want to be in the room unless they are of a more protesting mind? But what I'm getting from Spirit, you all, and I'm going to go to the cards on this as well. Remember, F47 thrives on attention. And if he has a captive audience of people, even if he thinks that they, these are the people who have been harmed, he will try and use that to his advantage. But having an empty room, I just pulled a Ace of Swords at the bottom of the deck. When I'm in a flow like that, that's how my guide, and I get aces meaning indicating a yes. That's one way that my guides say, yes, I'm on the right track with that. So that is not the way to go. Like, somebody needs to yank Jeffries in a back room somewhere and say, bro, rethink. Why are you giving this man more attention? And also perhaps in the process, further traumatizing the people who have been harmed. All right. We have the Six of Wands. There's a different way to show that courage. I am asking as well, Spirit, will the Democrats come together? Because right now we've got a split. We've got those who say don't show or walk out, and we've got the other ones that say, well, maybe we can do more appeasement. I appreciate the fact that many of you also pointed out when I found out that Alyssa Slotkin, freshman senator out of Michigan, has been chosen to give the Democratic rebuttal to DJT or F47's joint address to Congress. Many of you, hip me to the fact that, hey, she's being considered progressive and a rising star, but she ain't no saint. She voted to confirm many of these cabinet picks. She voted, I believe, in favor of the Lake and Riley Act. So they were like, her record is not pristine, but that also makes me think, can confirm that. Ace of Wands. Thank you, Spirit. Because I was about to say, it makes me think that plays into this Hakeem Jeffries House and others in the Senate, Chuck Schumer's school of, well, maybe there's a way for us to appeal to the MAGA base by not kicking up quite as much dust, by choosing people to speak who have appeared to walk that fine line of being cooperative and reaching across the aisles. That is not. Let me shush and pull. Okay. That is not what the people want. Eight of Swords. That's just stressing people out even more. Because that's not the messaging that speaks to the hearts and minds of the majority of Americans right now. And it says, and it speaks to the fact that, again, the Democratic Party is showing, that traditional party is showing itself to be so entrenched in its own ideology about freedom and democracy and all these things that they are not connecting with the people. And we're going to get to that in a moment as well. And judgment. Okay, I'm ready to wrap that part up. So, this is an awakening or a reawakening. And I think what Spirit is saying, are we going to see basically a split? That there will be those Democrats who, the King of Pentacles, Five of Pentacles, and the Chariot. I think we're going to see a mixed bag, you all. We're going to see those who perhaps do show up and walk out on that address to Congress, who show up and walk out. But there's also going to be that Five of Pentacles. Feels like there may, in fact, Jeffrey's message to bring in people who have been impacted, some of the federal workers, for instance, we may in fact see that happen. So I think it's going to be a mixed bag because they don't have a lot of time. This is happening. I'm taping this Sunday morning, and this is happening, a couple of days from now. The Democratic congressional leadership is fractured. Bottom line, it's fractured, and at the same time, there are. And when you start hearing, I read some stuff where Pelosi is starting to speak up and say, offer her 2 cents about how it should be handled, and the Dems need to unify, congressional Dems need to unify, and pick a team, choose a method. When she starts piping up again, it's not a good look. Hakeem, Chuck, not a good look, y'all. All right, moving on. So expect a mixed bag with that. It would be really interesting if they could get their act together and unify and literally get up and stage a walkout or do something that is more definitive, that reflects the sentiments and the feelings of the larger American populace at this time. But it's politics, you all. All right, moving on. The next day, March 5th, we have the House Oversight Committee. The head of that is James Comer. Charming thing, right? Out of Kentucky. But the ranking member is Jerry Connolly. Now, you all remember, they had a perfectly good opportunity to bring in AOC, Alexandria Cortez. Had a perfectly good opportunity to bring her in. She was looking strong for a minute, and oh my gosh, the voice that she would have had, especially when the purpose of this hearing on the 5th, Wednesday, is they're bringing in 4 mayors of these sanctuary cities around ICE raids and around what to do with immigrants and how to handle the so-called movement, or not so-called, it is a movement towards deportation. And these particular mayors are, as many of you know, they're under fire because some of them have been very blatant in saying, look, we're not going to let our cities be turned upside down. We rely, we have tax-paying, law-abiding immigrants here who provide, who are service workers, who are agricultural workers, etc. They support our economy, and we're not going to cooperate with these, with Homan and these ICE raids to just come in and destroy people's lives, pull kids out of school, pull people out of churches, etc. Those 4 mayors, in case you had not heard, these sanctuary cities that are being targeted. We have Michelle Wu from Boston. She's going to be testifying as a part of this hearing on Wednesday the 5th. We have Brandon Johnson out of Chicago. We have Mayor Mike Johnson out of Denver, who has been one of those really, really outspoken mayors that have said, you're not going to come here. We will resist. You will not do, have these inhumane acts towards immigrants in the city. So Mike Johnson is going to undergo particular fire. And the 4th, Eric Adams. Clown show. Okay. No, you're right. You already know how that's going to go, and whatever he gets up there and says. But these other 3 mayors in particular, Michelle Wu out of Boston, Brandon Johnson out of Chicago, and Mike Johnson out of Denver, the 3 of them are being very well coached. They've lawyered up. They've got congressional leaders from their states rallying around them and helping them prepare and saying, this is what's about to happen. Here's some pitfalls to be aware of, etc. Because they're being told they have to produce to the House Oversight Committee. They're supposed to produce their records and their plans of who in their cities are in charge of cooperating with ICE people, etc., which puts people's names out there. So there's this, they got to redact and protect people's identities. The whole thing, you all, is going to be something. But I want to take a look and see, go to Spirit and see what are these mayors going to do in response. We already know Eric Adams out of New York sold his soul, right? Sold his soul. So he's going to roll over Rikers Island and do whatever they tell him to do. That's it. Homan already told him on national TV, if you don't, I'm going to come get up your butt. Period. Full stop. Ultimate humiliation. And, he's going to do what he's got to do. That's the bargain he struck. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens in these other cities, Chicago, Boston, that are being targeted by ICE. Chicago, Boston, and Denver. The outcome of those hearings of the mayors on the 4th in front of the House Oversight Committee. And the reason I brought up AOC, you all, Spirit is reminding me that, remember, Jerry Connolly, many say out of Virginia, many say a pretty decent guy, in his 70s, though. Such a stark contrast when you had someone like an AOC that was fully capable and ready to step in. But now Jerry's on a big stage, and this is one of the biggest stages that he's on since his appointment as the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee. Let's see how Jerry performs. All right. Spirit, the outcome with these mayors, Denver, Chicago, and Boston. Not even going to deal with New York. No disrespect. let me watch. My spirit was like, girl, you better be careful on that, Afefe. You know, New York, they will get on your timeline. I don't mean to be disrespectful. You understand why I'm saying you've watched everything that's happened with Eric Adams, and so in terms of any useful and pushback in terms of any testimony he gives at those hearings, I doubt seriously that we're going to see it. That's where I'm coming from. But the Nine of Pentacles, they're concerned about, right? Thank you, Spirit, coming out right away with the truth. Because one of the things that's facing all of these mayors in these various cities is federal funding. And all of them are reliant to some extent on government funding. And the idea is that's the leverage that they're using. If you don't cooperate with ICE, that we're going to start to yank your funding. So that will be a primary concern with these mayors and how they respond, how they perform at these hearings. Knight of Swords. That's the prep that they're doing. What to say, what to watch out for. That's also on the other side. And it's going to be really tough, overwhelming, a lot to take in between the hostility that they know they're going to be faced with, trying to trip them up, trying to set them up, any excuse to say they have basically violated the law and to go after them as obstructionists. Six of Pentacles. This feels like the I want to confirm it, cross it. It feels like the advice that they are being given. Yes, the King of Cups. Yes, this is the advice that they are being given to, on the one hand, it's not about them showing up in protest mode and saying, and bottom line, we're not going to cooperate with you. This is about them showing up in a way that says, and I feel like this is in particular, I feel like this King of Cups may be Mike Johnson out of Denver, who is going to be particularly targeted, Denver, and who has been one of the more outspoken sanctuary city mayors. I think this is him. And there's the Six of Pentacles is very often a card of give and take. It's not a card of absolutes. It's not a card of stark contrasts. So I think they're going to be very well coached, and they will offer, at least in their responses and in what they do decide to produce or are compelled to produce in terms of documentation showing their willingness to cooperate with ICE. They're going to be very deliberate about that so as to mitigate any accusations of illegality and outright resistance and not cooperating with the government. They're very smart, and they're being helped by very smart people. Eight of Swords comes back, and Temperance comes back. This is the start of a long process, but they will represent the interests of their respective cities and counties to the fullest. They absolutely will. And it won't stop there. That's what Spirit is saying. So they're not the James Comers of the world are not going to be able to crush the spirits and make these mayors bend the knee to a sufficient extent to make them want to back off. And after this is done, these mayors are already on alert that what the next steps are going to have to be after May 5th, because it won't stop there. Yeah, Seven of Wands, standing their ground, having courage, being ready for the long haul. Because this is going to be a long situation. Spirit, will the government threaten? Will this administration threaten to take away their funding? Three of Swords. That's their bargaining chip, or their sword. That's what they're going to slice and dice. You didn't give us what we wanted, so now we're going to start to cut your funding. And that's what hurts. That's what these mayors know it's going to hurt, is that because of, once again, doing the right thing, it could bring more pain and suffering to their constituents. But I also think that's the price that everybody's willing to pay at this point. All right. And finally, you all, in terms of resistance, and in terms of the frustration, the mounting frustration with congressional leaders not delivering and just chasing their tails. And what you've got on the one side, the GOP completely bowled over Lindsey Graham, for one, coming out in the wake of what happened with Zelensky and saying, beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. Marco Rubio sitting there looking like, all the memes of him sitting there, because this flies in the face, even as a conservative senator in the past, this flies in the face of everything he has ever said or done in regards to Ukraine, in regards to other policies. He is sitting there looking like a zombie that sold his soul. Absolutely. So, in the meantime, we've got grassroots. We've got people uniting. I found out, we talked about on this channel, I talked about before, the 50501 protest that many of us already know about, and that website. I'll put a link to it in the description box below if you want to look it up, but it's easy. You can just Google 5051 and you'll go right to the website. So they have been responsible for organizing or helping to organize numerous protests around in cities throughout the United States. And it's being done sort of as a informational clearinghouse. You want to have a protest? Here's where you can come and post your information. People can log on, look at your particular state, find your city, or find anything that's happening within your state. So they're doing that. Meanwhile, we also have, maybe some of you already knew, I found out recently about, just yesterday, the People's Union USA.com. And that's a long title, but you spell it out on Google, it'll take you right there. The People's Union USA.com. That's a new organization, just founded, nonprofit, I believe, just founded in February by a guy out of Chicago, John Schwartz, who apparently has been an anti-corporate greed guy on social media for some years. And in response to everything, that's happening in the country, he kind of took it next level. He is a meditation teacher, from what I understand, right? So I want to talk about him, you all. If you have not heard about this before with my channel, I recently started doing once a month a spiritual politics Zoom, a private Zoom off of YouTube where people can maybe feel a little safer to participate. My next one will be on Friday, March 7 at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'll put a link to that below as well, because you do have to register for it. Very small fee to do so. My intention with that is to make sure people who are coming on and participating are doing it for the right reasons, are not being disruptive or hateful, trying to create and foster a safe community for people to share ideas. But what got me pinged about that is this John Schwartz, the founder of the People's Union USA.com, is a meditation teacher. So talk about spiritual politics, and and we're going to get into that a little bit on March 7th. But his organization was in large part responsible, from what I understand, for the February 28th blackout, the Friday blackout, while all of this was happening in the Oval with Zelensky. Perfect day for people to lock down. No spending whatsoever. No gas, no groceries, no retail. Blackout economic spending. And from what I understand, we haven't seen the results in terms of numbers or how retailers were impacted, but it was all the talk. And I think many, perhaps millions of people did participate in that blackout. Well, now they have, so what he's going to do now, his thing is economic resistance, whereas 5051 is about protesting in person on the streets, wherever. The People's Union USA.com is more about striking back at the economy and striking back at these billionaires and these corporate entities that are helping to run this coup, helping to support this political coup. So March 7th through the 14th, the next thing is going to be, from what I understand, for an economic blackout for Amazon. all aspects of Amazon, Whole Foods, Prime, anything connected to Amazon. No ordering, no participation for a week for March 7th through the 14th. So that's the latest thing. I want to take a look and see, are the people behind this? I'm getting increasingly, and again, in concert with what we need to happen on the political front, but we're seeing more and more people are saying nobody's coming to help us. Nobody's coming to help us. And so the change that we really are going to have to, to have impact, it's going to come from the ground up. And as AOC said in one of her videos not too long ago, we have the numbers. If it's a numbers game, they're outnumbered. All right, we have the star. I love that. A card of hope, a card of having a vision for humanity, a card of philanthropy, a card of, we are Pluto in Aquarius, right? We are moving more into, even though we got to get there and going through all of this pain to get there and suffering, but the star is people uniting on each other's behalf, having a vision for what we need to do together. The King of Pentacles, I think this is John Schwartz as the founder of this organization. We have the Six of Cups. Again, people uniting. And uniting because they understand that the Six of Cups is, they call it sometimes a card of nostalgia. It can point to things that you have done in the past. Economic boycotts in the past have certainly worked. And it is a very effective method. Nonviolent. The Knight of Wands. These are people jumping on board and ready to get with it. This is the American people ready to get on board with this. Because to the extent that maybe people are not comfortable, different ages, disabilities, stress levels, are not comfortable protesting in the streets, everyone has control. You can sit right in the comfort of your home and decide where you do or do not shop and what you do or do not buy. So yes, I think, just a couple of more cards on this, I think we are going to see a lot more Seven of Pentacles, how people are praising and assessing. We've seen Costco, the people who are aligned with Costco versus, and so far, I think Apple saying, no, we're not going to go that route with their DEI versus Target hurting versus Musk's Tesla, sales plummeting, stock tanking, hitting them with the economy, hitting them in their pockets, affecting some of those billions. And Page of Pentacles, exactly. A slow movement to hit them where it counts. And also Eight of Swords, because one of the, and the Hermit, exactly. It's going to be the long haul, but also because this is a way for people to begin, especially with the rush to try and deport immigrants who are contributing to the economy and the labor in this country. So we're going to have that shifting, and people are going to feel the impact of that. That's that Eight of Swords. Also the federal workers and others who are being who are out of jobs. So on a practical level, the idea of an economic blackout is hand in hand, is what Spirit is saying. There's a necessity for people to begin to really evaluate. Where's that Seven of Pentacles? To really evaluate their spending, to pull back on their spending for some very practical reasons, which also serve the added purpose of political. All right? That was a lot. I hope it was helpful. I hope it was insightful. Again, I appreciate you being here. Would love to see you for my spiritual politics gathering next Friday, the 7th, especially after whatever is going to happen on the 4th and the 5th. It's going to be an interesting week. The month of March, Spirit has said the month of March is going to be absolutely wild. And no reason to doubt that. All right? Take really good care of you all. Remember, chin up, shoulders back, and remember to breathe. We got this. We have to. We have to. We can't back down. All right? Talk to you later. Be good. Be safe. Bye.